We at Wealthy Millennial want to help inspire, educate, and motivate you to make the best financial decisions possible. With our straightforward, no bullshit approach, we aim to simplify the complex world of personal finance for the millennial mind. For most, the idea of owning a home is a dream you've likely had since you were a little kid. To have an incredible space where you and your family are able to build lifelong memories together. For us millennials, the idea of owning a home is sort of bittersweet. Sweet in that you no longer have to throw money away every month paying rent, yet bitter in how much money it costs to even get your foot in the door. It becomes especially difficult when considering just how much the housing market has risen in Canada over the last couple of years and the amount of student debt the average millennial still has to repay. Be that as it may, it is still possible. It just takes a little extra effort. In this episode, we'll go over why having a budget is so important and how it might be the missing piece to your housing puzzle, how reassessing your expenses and services could save you thousands that could be put towards your down payment, and why expecting the unexpected might be the only thing to keep your plan from derailing completely. Build your budget. If you've heard any of my other episodes, this first tip should come as no surprise. There's a reason I believe so strongly in having a budget. They work. Without having an accurate idea of how much money you're making and spending on a monthly basis, your financial future is doomed. There's no way to measure the progress of your goals or to see if you're actually staying on track. You're financially blind. We won't be going into too much detail here, but if you'd like to create a budget of your own, feel free to head on over to wealthymillennial.net/budgetbuilder to download your free 22-page ebook, which helped me save $1,100 a month. Once you've got your numbers figured out, there are loads of apps available to help you manage your money a little better. My personal favorite is YNAB, an acronym for You Need a Budget. This one rocks. You simply set how much you're able to spend in each category at the beginning of the month and track your spending as you make purchases. It's super cheap at only $6.99 a month and also provides you with a whole collection of weekly webinars to help you master each major expense in your life. Membership also grants you access to their community forum where you can find other like-minded money millennials, discuss ideas and thoughts, and even find help from others who have been where you are. Alright, enough about this awesome tool. Once you've got an app downloaded, simply punch in how much income you have flowing in each month and how much your expenses are. Keep track of how much money is going towards each category and begin figuring out how you can cut back or where you can find hidden savings for each. Any additional savings can be tossed into your down payment fund to help speed up your savings goals. Finding additional savings. So now you've got your app running and all of your numbers punched into each category. Killer. Now it's time to try and find some additional savings. At first glance, you might think that there really aren't any areas to find savings, but I bet you can chip a couple hundred off with ease. Service providers. Start with your service providers. Think cell phone, internet, and cable companies. If you think you're paying too much for any of these, try calling around to a few of their competitors and start comparing prices. When making these calls, tell them about the best offers you've received so far to try and pit them against each other. Remember, these companies want your business, so make them work for it. Cell phones are a huge ripoff, especially here in Canada. We have some of the highest rates in the world. Needless to say, switching to a cheaper provider can save you large. Jess and I moved from TELUS to Freedom Mobile and saved $93 a month. Yep, that's a whopping $1,100 per year. Pretty sweet savings for a 30-minute phone call. Slash your entertainment fund. This one really took Jess and I by surprise. We never fancied ourselves big spenders until we started tracking how much money we were spending on entertainment. Nights out with friends, dinner dates at the local resto, and Uber rides. Uber rides! These suckers were easily costing us $100 plus per month. Crazy. Just because you want to cut back in these areas doesn't mean that you have to cut back on fun. You just need to find new things that cost less or are free. We began exploring our city, trails, and waterfalls. Packing up a lunch and hiking for the day is completely free, super relaxing, and you get a little bit of exercise to boot. Also check your newspaper or local blogs to find some cool free events held right in your backyard. We found out that Hamilton hosts an annual garden tour that allows you to check out a bunch of different gardens all across the city. Move high-interest debts to low-interest lenders. If you have any kind of debt, whether it be student debt or consumer debt, be sure to take a close look at the interest rates you're paying. Having a clear picture of what your debts are costing you will not only let you know which ones to tackle first, but will also give you an opportunity to pay less interest. If consumer debt has taken hold, you've got a couple options. 1. You can transfer your balance over to a lower interest card. Try to find a credit card that has a promotional 0% for the first 6 months. This gives you a little breathing room, and if you're diligent, presents the chance to knock out your debt with no interest. Transfer your balance to a lower interest line of credit. If you've got a decent credit score, your bank will be more than happy to loan you money, and if that's in the way of a line of credit, you can oftentimes get a decent rate. Calculate your down payment. Knowing your numbers is also key when it comes to personal finance, and having a clear picture of how much your down payment will be is essential. I know it sounds obvious. How can you save for a down payment if you don't even know how much the down payment's going to be? You'd be surprised how often people get house happy and jump on MLS and start picking their future dream home without even knowing what they're qualified for. Start by having a meeting with your financial advisor. They'll be able to give you a clear idea of what you're pre-approved for and how much you'll need to have banked before the big purchase. One thing to keep in mind is that the bank might offer you more than you were expecting. For example, when Jess and I sat down, we were told that the bank would be more than happy to give us a mortgage of $450,000. The house we ended up buying only cost $390,000, and even at that price, we find it tough at times. Don't fall victim to the lure of a bigger and better house. It will only cause stress and anxiety down the line. Live within your means, and remember, don't try keeping up with the Joneses. They're broke. Expect the unexpected. This is a big one and should not be overlooked. When buying your first home, there are so many more expenses to consider aside from the actual down payment. You have to pay for your home inspection, lawyer's fees, property survey, and property transfer taxes, just to name a few. The amount that these add up to can be pretty large, and if they catch you off guard, it can be the difference between landing your dream home or losing it. A good figure to keep in mind is 3% of the purchase price of the home. So if the house costs $200,000, don't be surprised if you're handing over a $6,000 bill at closing. If you've decided to work with a realtor, they'll have a good idea of what everything will cost upon closing. Keep in mind that what they provide is only a ballpark estimate that can and often does change. It's also not a bad idea to know what you're going to want to do once you move in. If the place is renovated to your liking, the walls are all the right color, and little is needed to be done, then you're all good. On the other hand, if you have a couple renos in mind, want to repaint or do a little decorating, then these are additional expenses you should consider. Don't let this be the reason you don't get the right home for you. Remember that renovations and repainting and decorating can all be done at any time. And if your remodeling budget is what's keeping you from buying the right house for you, then reassessing your priorities might be exactly what's needed. The idea here is not to scare you off, but rather prepare you for when you do eventually buy your first home. The last place you want to be is short-funded when all of your bills come due. Being prepared and having all of your ducks in a row not only helps you appear more professional, but will eliminate some of the stress that goes along with buying a home. Stay motivated. Setting goals and seeing them through can be pretty tough, even when things are going your way. You might have to give up your yearly trip to Mexico or only go to 3 concerts this summer instead of 8. All of these compromises leave you questioning if it's really worth it. Pile on the fact that you're bound to run into a couple hiccups along the way, and the whole process becomes that much harder. It might seem easy to throw your hands in the air and give in. You might start saying things like, I don't really need the house that bad, or rent's not that expensive. But remembering why you set the goal and sticking with it will always be more empowering than giving in when times get tough. So how do you stay focused and better your odds of success? One great method coined by the writer/TED presenter Simon Sinek is to start with why. Instead of focusing solely on what you want to achieve, change your train of thought to why you want to achieve it. Asking yourself why you want to attain this goal gives more meaning and importance to the goal. Take a moment and write out a list of reasons why you want to buy a home. Your list can include things like the freedom to do whatever you please with your property, no longer having to deal with a landlord, or investing your money instead of throwing it away. Whatever reasons you decide on, be sure to pick the most compelling ones for you. This will be the list that you look back on when you're feeling deflated and no longer have the drive to see your goals through. Make sure they're really important to you. Another awesome tactic is to have daily reminders. It can be something super simple, like a post-it note on your monitor at work, or changing your phone's background picture to your ideal home. Anything that will help you keep your goal top of mind and hopefully prevent you from falling short. Finally, my favorite of the bunch, break your major goal into mini goals. Let's say you need to save $30,000 for a down payment. Looking at that number can be super daunting and enough to scare you away from even trying to achieve it. Instead, turn that huge lump into only $625 a month. If you stick with it, you'll have your down payment saved in only 4 years. Not bad. The great thing about this method is it gives you a bunch of little wins along the way. Every month, you toss that $625 in your savings account and get to have a little celebration knowing you're one step closer to your end goal. In the end, if purchasing a home is something that's on your radar, I'd like to start by giving you a big high five. Getting out of the rental cycle, where every penny you pay is lost forever, is always a good thing. Plus, having a home gives you the benefit of building memories in a place you'll likely stay for years to come. If you truly believe it's the right move for you, then set your goals, figure out your numbers, make sacrifices, and do everything you can in your power to free yourself as a renter and gain yourself as an owner. As always, you can head on over to wealthmillennial.net/blog to read the full article with all the links and resources mentioned. If you enjoyed this episode, please share the love. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends and family. You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook at Wealth and Millennial. The more millennials we can help when it comes to personal finance, the better off we'll all be.
This has been an Evoke Media podcast.